welcome everybody. We
Oh,
are taking over Heather's page today for a little while. I'm Ava Pandit and I have my beautiful friend
Tracy Debbie.
with me. And we are just hopping on to chat with you guys about something Tracy and I were chatting about. And both of us get to contribute in the back end of Heather's business. And we were looking at some stuff, and a conversation came up that was so fun that we thought it'd be so cool to invite you guys to it too. So,
Yes.
Tracy, what is sunk cost fallacy?
Yeah, so first of all, I was watching Heather's YouTube video that she just put out yesterday. So if you guys don't check out her channel, please check it out. It is so cool. And what popped as I was like watching it was like this idea of the sunken cost fallacy or the sunk cost fallacy. And I didn't know about this. So just to give people like a quick background, I'm a chiropractor and I did a career pivot. And so I found this out actually 2 days ago that a chiropractic degree is like the third most costly doctor degree, which is crazy. And this is a
Wow.
US stat, but like I went to school there. So I'm like, okay, that's actually like relevant for me. But when I was like changing careers, something I had to look at was this idea of I've invested so much time, money, effort in this career, but like the energy is pulling me in a different direction. So, like, what do I do? So, the sunk cost fallacy is basically we've invested so much time, money, effort in something that we keep choosing it for that reason. And we think we have choice, but we actually are in reaction and we're not in choice. And I just wanted to talk about that with you because I know we have a very similar story in terms of this is our career, this is how people knew us, this is our image, this is our everything. We've invested in that, and then we switched. So I'm curious if even me just saying that, if that brings up anything new for you today.
Oh my God. Like, I look at how often, and it's such a courageous choice to make to let go of everything you've put in so much time and effort. And it applies in so many different ways. For me as well, it was related to the business world and stuff because by education, I'm an organizational psychologist. And I thought that all that fun stuff that I'm learning, that in theory made like it really made me feel so alive that wow, that's how we change the world. I had all the answers, and the ground reality was so freaking different from it. And I'd put in so much
Wow.
time, effort, money, everything, right, into that education piece. And I really thought psychology is going to give me all the answers and it's going to be so awesome after that. And it wasn't. After like studying psychology for 5 years, I was like, I have all the answers, but I'm depressed as fuck.
Oh my god, yeah, I know that. Wow.
So I had to make that choice as well, that am I willing to have it all fall apart and let it all go to like find
Yeah.
what makes me happy, that matches the energy I would like my life to be. And there's a lot logical stuff around it, and also things that people say that may not make sense, but sometimes you just got to take that leap, trust yourself, just choose based on not the logic, but based on what you know. Because like there comes a point in life, I get that the knowing becomes so dominant that even if the knowing conversation is very esoteric for you, you cannot avoid it. Like you've got to just make a choice. Sometimes people call it on your gut instinct or whatever, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and oh my god, just certain things that you said, like the ground reality. I'm like, wow, I never would have like used those words, but it's actually so true. Like the actual experience of it was so different than my head. And this goes back to like how I was taught in school. Like we were taught like your head is your valuable product, you know what I mean? And just your head, nothing else. And I'm a chiropractor. Like we deal with the body, but there was some like you know what I mean? Like, and this is why I want to say this because I don't know how many of my other colleagues will say that like our head was still the most valuable, even though we were dealing with the body, which is for me it didn't make any sense because I came here like being like my body's awesome, and then that got just completely not validated. So obviously I made my head valuable too. So yeah, this is so interesting that you're saying that. And for me, I realized so tied to my money flows because I was willing to stick with chiropractic until the money dried up. You know what I mean? Like I basically was just destroying my own practice. Um,
And oh
but it
my
was
God,
sort
I
of
think
like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean?
There you go. Exactly. Like following all the checklists, this and this and this and this, and then that is going to show up. And there is no then that ever shows up. It's always all in the future. As
No. Yeah,
you were
that's the other
saying,
thing.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go
Well, I was
ahead.
gonna say the whole like sunken cost fallacy is very like
Yeah.
bipolar in the sense of like you're basing
Mm,
everything you're choosing on the past. Well, I've invested this already. I've invested time, money, effort, energy,
yeah.
hoping it's gonna change the future. But like where are you missing? You're missing like what is actually true for you right now. And I can tell you I lived that for a really long time and it seemed normal, which
Totally.
is
And it is normal. That is how the majority of the world lives. And that's another thing to also look at. What is normal? Like, normal by definition is what's in the norm. What people are normally choosing doesn't make it right, but it's
yes.
somehow misunderstood to be like it's not to be normal is to be right. But
Yeah.
that's another fallacy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was so busy looking for what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. Like in order to do this the whole sunk cost thing, you're just trying to
Yeah,
make the right choice, which is basically not making the wrong one. And so it made my world smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And like you said, I was just depressed as fuck. Like it's just, it like sucked everything out of me. And so I wanted to talk about that because it brought up that for me. And I had to look at how much I've changed. Like
mm,
my world is so different, so much bigger. Like I can look at this now and I have this total like bird's eye view of it, if that makes sense.
mm.
Um,
Yeah,
so it's just so much gratitude to be like, okay, this is where I came from. I'm not gonna like ignore it, but so much has changed before then. And also realizing too, like where I put like power, like because we're talking about um, Heather's upcoming class, which is called I Am Power. And it's called
mhm.
I Am Power. And for the longest time, like I'm on her team, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, the I Am Power class, the I Am Power class. And then all of a sudden, one day, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I was like, I am power. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
because how much do we make somebody else, someone else's opinion, something else greater than us? So
totally.
for me, I had the sunk cost fallacy, and I don't have power. I don't even want power. Ew, like power, power over, power this, power means that. I don't want any of that. I'm going to be a good person. you
And how
know?
much of the sunk cost fallacy is actually diminishment of your power, not really allowing yourself to know what you know is a diminishment of your power and like going to logic. And I love that you said when we're creating from that point of view, we're using the past choices that we've made as relevant to creating our future and not the now. Like what's
Yeah.
actually relevant to me right now, right here. And I love that, how the tagline of the I Am Power class is being an adult of consciousness with money. And how were we taught to be an adult in the world? If you're anything like me, you were taught to do like what we are talking about, do X and Y and Z. That's how you become an adult. And then you gotta like do use your money responsibly, do this, do that. None of it is about consciousness. None of it is about inviting consciousness to lead you and your choices, and your knowing lead you and your choices. And that's exactly what we're this whole class. And Tracy and I were actually looking at this class, and this conversation came up. And really looking at how, what does it take to create the wealth you would like to have. And when you were talking about your story, Tracy, it really got me to see how I had it on. This might be actually the first time ever that I'm acknowledging out loud like this. But I remember when I was after my degree in organizational psychology, I was the only person. Like, so fun story, on our campus placement, everybody was getting placed in HR, and I was like, nope, that's not going to work for me. That's not what I've studied. HR is not organizational psychology. And back in the days I was living in India, that field almost didn't exist. But
Mm.
like, on LinkedIn, I found a job for an organizational psychologist that
Wow.
required like 5-year experience or something. But just kept on applying. Like I just applied, and they picked me. I was like, what? Wow, that's so awesome. And I remember being in that job and really looking at one day, like financially allowing, and I hadn't really, for it took me maybe another 10 years to claim what I was perceiving and energetically engaging with. But basically, energetically, I was looking at how much money, like, let's say I become the best at what I do here in this company, then like what's going to be my kind of financial progress? And
Hmm.
the linearity of it like killed the buzz for me. When I saw like what it takes and how it works, I was like, no, that's not enough for me. That's not how I roll.
Oh,
Like this is just no. And I didn't say that to
yeah.
myself either. I remember having this conversation just with myself, but I definitely had to come up with a reason and a justification for why I wanted to choose something different. But how
Right.
there was a huge part of me choosing to let go of that career path was this conversation with myself where I looked at how boring it was for me to walk
Mhm.
that journey with money.
Yeah. Wow. Well, like, yeah, thank you for acknowledging that because what a gift to have the presence to have that conversation with yourself, to even know, like, hey, this is not going to work for me. To be honest with you, Ava, I never even asked that, like, ever. I never
Yeah.
said, like, hey, is this going to work for me? Like, gosh, if I had, I think things would have been different. Um, so that is such an interesting like question
Thank you.
to ask
And also
yourself.
like
And
in,
even you out there, like, is your current financial reality working for you?
is it enough for you? Does
Right?
it
Is it
make you
enough for you?
feel enthused about creation? Or does it like, are somewhere are you using logics like, okay, I've done this, so I must at least for next 2 years do this before I can choose something different, because then this will create that and that will make it easier to make a choice. And does that ever occur? Like, does that ever show up? Or you just keep running on that hamster wheel. And so, what else is possible beyond that? And we even do that. And I would love to say that I claim, like, I know that I knew that. I know that I looked at that. And like, where I went with that was a lot of self judgment, making myself wrong for
Mhm.
making it about money, and then trying to justify and make it about, okay, no, I'm not about money. So, what do I want to change in the world? And all of that. And how much do we really separate ourselves from money in our life, and how much power do we diminish in that, and is that truly what being an adult is about, or something
Mm.
else?
Or something else. Wow. And you know what's actually popping for me? So I did a lot of research on this topic just because I was like curious about what the world is saying. I knew what my experience was. And you know, the word that showed up a lot of times with this term is motivation. Like we use these past things to keep motivating us to move forward. And I think when I'm hearing us talk, I'm like, this is actually our motivation. And motivation is like such a rightness, you know, like you're motivated, you're good, you're this, you're that. But it's like totally coming from this outside of you, right? Like looking for that right, wrong, right, wrong. And that polarity feels like living, right? You're like, oh, yeah, it's a polarity. So now I'm alive. And that's what you use for like motivation. And I think we're seeing now in the world, like what that actually creates. Like it creates this sense of burnout, right? Because constantly having to look for that right, wrong is like so exhausting. And I don't want to say I'm like perfect and I don't do that anymore. I definitely do that, but I catch myself. I know I have choice. Like it's such a different reality now for me. And so I'm still like, choosing differently for my financial reality. Like I'm still looking to like change things, which is why I'm in this class. You know what I mean? So it's like not perfect. And I think we are like, if it's it's crappy or it's gotta be perfect. And
Yeah.
it's like becoming the adult is like in Heather's video, she like talks about it's like knowing what you would like to create and every day making choices in that direction. And so I just want to tell people if you are like someone who like judges themselves a lot like I did and still do to like some degree, it's about making the small different choices every day like you said to have that conversation with yourself. That choice puts you on a completely different path.
I love that. Totally. I love how you put that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else is possible?
Yes. What else is possible? And what else is possible with reclaiming your power, but not in a power over way. Like you took your power back by being like, does this work for me? You know, that to me is such a subtle, because I wouldn't have thought before
Oh,
this, like
exactly.
that's power,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, oh, but like, what is that for you? What is that for everybody, right? And if
Right.
you want to come explore that with us, please do, because I'm so excited. I'm like, I'm already getting facilitated by this class, and it hasn't even started.
Me too. And all the things, and money is such a facilitator as well. Like all your shit comes up, a
Yes.
lot of things around this topic. And what if it doesn't have to be that? What if something totally different could be your reality? What if motivation was not a point of reference at all? And so, if not that, then what? What
Yeah.
can be like such a nourishing contribution that you can be and receive with yourself from the universe in your business, in whatever it is that you do, however you create money, all the magic and non-linearity. Because a lot of times people have this thing about, oh, you got to do something to make money, but is that true? Like how many
Mm,
people have a different reality? They're not really doing something, but them being contributes to people in their life that are creating money, and you receive beautifully like that. So if we took judgment out of the equation, and even if you look at the sunk cost fallacy with your own business, Tracy, that's one of the things that I was looking at. That where have I decided that, okay, I've put in so much time and effort so far into doing this. So, I've got to keep doing, or I've got to like give it a little bit more energy, a little bit more time, rather than ask a freaking question that will give me an
yeah.
awareness of a space that creates. So,
Mm,
yeah.
wow. You know what just popped as you said that? You just said the word space. And with everything we were talking about, sunk cost fallacy, hamster wheel, like motivation, there's like you can perceive as lack of space. And there's almost like I have to do this energy, but like underneath it, like, oh, I have to do it, you know? And the space that you're talking about is like completely different, you know? And I
Yeah.
would have thought that that was who cares, whatever, like, you know, airy fairy. But it's taken me some time to actually get like it's not airy fairy. Like this space is actually what allows the creation of something completely different. So thank you for saying that, because that's like, even for me, I'm just like, wow, where are the spaces, or where is there like lack of space still in my financial reality? Not like still as in a judgment of like, where's that corner crevice that I didn't even know was there? I didn't want to know was there, that I didn't
Yeah.
want to look at in my business and my whatever and everything. Because the sunk cost fallacy is not just with money. It's like you said, it's with everything. It's with relationships. Where am I just doing from a space of, well, we've already invested so much time here, so I'll just keep this relationship, even though there's no space and it's not really contributing to my life. We've been friends for 10 years, so you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
cool.
So, you guys are warmly invited to join us in this conversation. I know it's going to go so much deeper, so much broader than this. And just perceive what you're asking for and look at, like, what if choosing to take something up as a class or whatever in your life, even as a partner, is something as simple as, what am I asking for, and does this seem to match that energy? And if it does, would you be willing to just go for it? Like, would you be willing to commit to yourself, commit to being an adult in that completely new different way, where you're not like mind fucking yourself into choosing or not choosing, but just know. And if it is for you, great. And if it is not for you, great. What is? So
Right.
choose for yourself and see what that creates.
I love that. I have nothing to add. I'm like, that is beautiful. I hope to see you for the I Am Power class that starts uh, Thursday, November 16th. Yes, at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So we hope to see you there. And it's 8 calls, and you get like downloadable PDFs. There's lots of questions. If you're familiar with Access Consciousness, it's highly recommended that you do the How to Become Money workbook, which is really, really great. And Heather is just like a financial wizard. She really knows how to be present with her numbers. I'm gaining so much just by being around her and her energy. because she's so willing to look at the numbers and be present and create a team around her that supports her. And even if she has like different ideas about like around money, where I would just like make myself small and be like, oh, well, what do I know? Where she is always willing to expand. So it's just a
Mm,
cool energy. So I just invite people, if this matches, and you know whether it matches something you've been asking for, even if it feels scary, like what if you do choose this? Like what will your life be like in 5 years?
totally. I love that. I love how you brought in the energy of Heather and what she brings, because I get to see a lot of that at the back end too, how different she is willing to be
Yeah.
with numbers and with money and with the energy of money and the choices that she makes, that it contributes enormously to me. So if you get that's something that will contribute to your life too, it'll be fun to see you on the inside and to hang out with you
Yeah.
in the group.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone.
Thank you for joining us. And what else is possible now?
Bye.
Bye.